Hey, what's up, guys? Jack here. Hey, so I've been all over YouTube looking around trying to find, see if there's any good videos out there of some people making some actual Cajun jambalayas, and not a New Orleans style jambalaya with tomatoes in it and all that nonsense, but a good Cajun jambalaya. It's hard to find. Yeah, there's a couple out there that are pretty close. But man, they just don't do it like I do it. I think that's one thing unique about jambalaya. Everybody does their jambalaya different. I know back home, everybody makes a jambalaya, and everybody's jambalaya is the best, and they won't tell you what they put in it. And that's just the way it is. So that's probably why there's not a whole lot of videos out there giving you good details on, what exactly they're doing and how they're doing it. Look, I'm not in it to make money right now, so I think I'm gonna make a pot, start to finish, and I'll show you guys how I do it. Yeah. So stick around. All right, so as you can see, we've got the pot going. Don't have it too high. And first step number one, about a half pound to a pound of bacon. Thick cut bacon, none of that crazy flavored bacon, just, regular old smoked bacon. And cook that down really good and give yourself a good bacon grease. And we're gonna use that kind of as our base. Hey, I didn't say this earlier. I figure most people know this, but hey, just in case, not sure of who's watching this video or not, but you should know anything that's good, almost anything that's good, always starts with bacon. So that's why we started with bacon. And the big benefit of starting with bacon, number one, you get a good base, get some good bacon grease to finish off everything else, and probably most importantly, you get a decent amount of chef tax, and you should know what a chef tax is. Self-explanatory. So that'll be a chef tax. I'm gonna set that off to the side, and now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna throw in 5 pounds of chicken, which comes out to be in about 16 or 17 chicken thighs. All right, so what I have here is I've got about, like I said, about 5 pounds of chicken, seasoned up really well, and I've also got about 1.5 pounds of tenderloin. About 1.5 pounds of tenderloin up in there. I'm going to put that in bacon grease and get it going. You can see that. I'm going to brown this up really good. Kind of hard to do this with one hand. Every time I look back at the camera, I see the pot's not even in the camera. So, alright, we'll be back. Alright, so we got the chicken and tenderloin going in. We're going to let that brown for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes until it's nice and brown, but not, we don't want it to overcook because it's going to cook once you add all the liquid and whatnot. And one of the tips whenever you're prepping your chicken thighs, if you cut it into bite-sized pieces, by the time you get done stirring it and cooking it and all that, it's going to be a little bitty, if any at all. It'll just shred up and incorporate into the pot. So I like to take the chicken thighs, once I season them both sides, then I pretty much quarter them. So nice big chunks, and you'll be surprised how much they actually cook down or break up on their own. So try to leave them kind of somewhat big. The pork, not so much. You can make that. You can go ahead and make that bite size if you want. The pork tenderloin. All right. So what we're gonna do now is we got the chicken pretty much done. I'm gonna go and pull this out. I won't be able to. I'll show it to you once I pull it out, but because I've only got one hand here, I got to hold this pan while I scoop out the chicken. So I do remove the chicken. I know a lot of people, once they start putting stuff in the pot, they keep it there. I do this. I start out with the bacon grease. I pull that out, or I pull the bacon out. Put the chicken in. I pull that out. Then I'm going to put in my sausage and andouille and my tasso. And I want to brown that really good. And then I'm going to pull that out as well. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. All right, there's the chicken after I pulled it out. The chicken and the tenderloin. Now I'm going to go get the sausage, tasso, and andouille. All right, so there we go. There's the sausage, tasso, and andouille going in the pot. All right, so as far as the amounts go, for this pot I got 3 pounds of sausage. I've got a pound of tasso and 1 pound of andouille. Stir that in nice and good. Just to kind of explain why I do the bacon. Well, I already explained that. Got the bacon grease, and then you do the brown the chicken. You want to brown the chicken pretty good, not too much. Then you want to brown the sausage, andouille, and tasso. And then we're going to pull that out as well. And that's going to be all the meat that's going to be going in there. And I pull that out. Now I want to brown that really good, you know, because what I want to do, I want to start, you know, putting that good seasoning in the pot. Some people call it gratin, some people call it gratin, some people just call it the stuff stuck at the bottom of the pot. And so you can call it what you want. But and the reason I do that is once I pull all the meat out, then I put my onions, put my Trinity in there, my onions, bell pepper, celery, a little bit of garlic. I put that in there, and that really does a good job of cleaning that pot, and that's where you get your color from. A lot of people like to cheat and use kitchen bouquet. Not up in this house. We don't use kitchen bouquet. You don't have to. Not whenever you do it in this order. Now, if you want to just put everything in at one time, not at one time, but in steps, but just leave it once you put it in the pot. You leave it in the pot. You could do that. I was still going the same order though. But it comes out really good, great color, and you get to say you made it without kitchen bouquet. So, all right, we'll be back. Let y'all get a shot of my crazy looking dog there. That's Chemo. His name's Chemo because he ain't got no hair. He's a hairless dog. He's a good boy. He don't too much like this this cold weather. I don't know if you can see all the snow we got out there. He ain't a big fan, but he's a good dog. You wanna go back inside, bud? You wanna go back inside? There you go. All right, I pulled the andouille, the Tasso, and the sausage out, and I put the onions in. I forgot to show you that step, but onions are in there, and you cook those down really good. It browns it really good, and it cleans the pot off, so you get that good color in the onions. So the onions are done. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the meat, all the meat, back in the pot with the onions. Okay, so now I got the chicken, all the pork, the tenderloin, the Tasso, got the andouille, and got the sausage in the pot with the onions, and I'm gonna stir all that in and just let it mix in really good for about 5 minutes or so. Hey, one thing I just remembered, I think I just said add the Trinity. I didn't tell you how much. So typically what I put is about, for this size pot, for the ratio of everything I'm putting in, is about 8 to 9 cups of a mixture of onions, bell pepper, celery, and a little bit of garlic. And right now we're adding the 22 cups of liquid. You could do water, you could do chicken broth, or whatever. So you add 22 cups of, in this case we're doing chicken broth. So, all right. So, you know, and a couple bay leaves. So you put that in the pot. I'll let you smell it. There you go. All right, stir that in. We're gonna let that simmer for about 20 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes is over. I just brought it to a raging boil, and as you see, got some good color up in there. That's right. So bring it to a raging boil. Once it comes to a boil, like it is, we're gonna add, I believe it's 5 pounds of rice. All right, 5 pounds of rice. All right, so I just added 5 pounds of rice. Now this is the rice I use. You can use whatever you want, but I think this does the best. That good ZATARAIN'S long grain parboiled. Parboiled is key. If you don't do parboiled, you're gonna end up with a bunch of sticky mess. So do the parboiled rice from ZATARAIN'S, 5 pounds. All right, so I just put the 5 pounds of ZATARAIN'S rice up in there and stirred it in really good. And what we're doing now is we're trying to bring it to a boil again. Once it does come to a boil, I'm gonna put the lid on it. I'm gonna reduce the heat to pretty low, and I'll show you how low I put the heat. And then we let that set for 15 minutes, just like it is. So got a little boil going on. So now I think it's about time we're gonna knock the heat down some. Let's see here. All right, so that's what the heat is right now. I'm gonna lower it down and I'm gonna put the lid on it. We're gonna let it sit for 15 minutes. Just like that. Nice and low. Low and slow. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention. Right before you add the rice, you wanna add half cup of green onions and a half cup of parsley, chopped parsley, fresh parsley, not the canned stuff. Yeah, so I forgot to mention that. So you add the parsley and green onions, stir it in, then you bring it to a boil, then you put the rice in, stir it in really good, and once it starts boiling again, you cap it, reduce the heat, and let it go for 15 minutes. And that's what we're doing right now. And I guess here in about another 10 minutes, I'll lift the lid, I'll fold it in really good, stir it really good. You want to scrape the pot, make sure you don't have anything sticking to the bottom of the pot. And because if you don't do that at the very end, if you just let it sit, then you'll end up having rice stuck to the bottom of the pot, and you don't want that. So at the 15-minute mark, you fold it in nice and good, and then you put the lid on it again, and then you let it go for another 5 minutes. Then you kill the heat. Once you kill the heat, you fold it in one more time, and you cap it, and you let it sit for another 10 minutes with no fire. After that, it's ready to go. So we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so I took the lid off, it's looking pretty good. So now what I do is I work myself around the pot, and I just kind of scrape the bottom to the sides and the bottom, and I fold it in toward the center, just like this. And do that really good, that way you make sure nothing's stuck to the bottom. Man, that smells good. I wish you guys could smell that. It's gonna taste even better. Alright, once you get it all folded in, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave a little bit of that rice on that paddle. That way you can taste it. That's a little bit of chef tax, you know what I mean? Alright, now what I'm gonna do is put the lid back on it. And we'll let that go for another 5 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes has passed, or an additional 5 minutes has passed since last time I lifted the lid, so we're gonna lift the lid one more again. And we're gonna fold it in one more time. Set this lid down. Alright, right there. Grab my paddle, and we're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go toward the bottom, fold it in. Just like that. Man, that's looking good. That's looking good. Man, I hope it turns out good in the video. I don't know if you guys can see it really as good as I can. Man. But you just, like I said earlier, you just work yourself around the pot. Go down the side, get to the bottom, pull it up and fold. Just like this. Alright, we're going to spread that back around. Again, you're going to leave some on that paddle for that good chef tax, you know, that's key. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we'll put the lid on, and we're going to turn that lid all the way off. Turn it off. You don't need it no more. Alright, we're done with the burner. Alright, we'll see how it turns out in a few minutes. We're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes, just like it is. For them, I don't know if you can see that. The lighting in here is pretty bad, but you know, the color turned out phenomenal. The flavor was phenomenal. Well, this spotted jambalaya turned out really well. Take a look at the description for a list of seasonings that I used. Give it a shot. Let me know how it turns out. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thanks for watching. Like I said earlier, you just work